Welcome to Unleashing Happiness. I am your host, Cecilia Hendricks, and this week we're going to talk all about your faith and allowing possibility. So we're going to talk about where you're actually placing your faith and the possibilities that you're able to see in the world around you because of things that are actually available to you, and how that by opening up your mind to these possibilities, you're actually allowing more to come into your world. Your brain is designed to focus on the things that you tell it to focus on with your own personal attention. So we're going to learn how to open up your mind to more possibilities and where you're actually placing your faith. And then I'm going to touch on emotions and how you actually choose what your emotion means and that you have nothing to fear in just a feeling. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So I am so happy that you're here and I am ready to jump right in. Over the last few months, I have been really digging into emotions and feelings and faith. And of course, I'm starting to see more content that's also talking to me more about that. And I'll get to that here in a minute. But some of the stuff that I've had awakenings about have been really remarkable and life-changing for me over the past few months. And they're all around emotions and feelings and my own personal faith and what possibilities I'm opening up my own mind to and that I'm allowing to be reflective in my life because I'm seeing that possibility. I'm allowing the it could be type of conversation to come into my own life, and then also allowing myself to feel the things that come along with that. And it's remarkable because the more that I'm allowing myself to feel, the better that I actually feel and the better that I'm able to manage some of the emotions that are really heavy and the feelings that can be very difficult, and also manage my own emotional spiraling in my own head. So something that I have struggled with over the past few years is that I would want to focus on a specific outcome. I would want something positive in my life or something to change in my life. And I would attempt to focus on that, but my mind then would kind of do a doom and gloom spiral. I did not personally have the tools to figure out how to manage myself through that spiral. So instead of figuring out a way to actually have some self-discipline, which I'm not saying in a negative way, but have some self-discipline to refocus my own thoughts and to calmly place my attention somewhere that made sense and that was aligned to the type of life that I wanted and the type of person that I wanted to be, I would really struggle and it became like a mental battlefield. And I would find myself in these kind of horrific spirals of like, well, this could happen. And I don't know why I'm trying to convince myself of this. I have no evidence of this. And I think this can happen to a lot of folks. And then it becomes this like seeking somebody to give you a special magical answer to get out of this. Some magical answer that gives you the process or the understanding of how to actually change your life so that you're not so frustrated in whatever area you're struggling in. And I have figured this out for me, and I definitely want to share it out with everyone else because it has been absolutely remarkable. I still firmly believe that everybody has to figure out what works for them. So just mimicking what worked for me is likely not going to make the changes for you that you want to see unless you take kind of the framework and put it into something that makes sense for you and within your life and the things that you're comfortable with and that make you feel like you're focusing in the way that you want to focus and that you're moving your life and your habits into being this type of person that you want to be. And if you listen to the intro, this is going to be around 3 kind of topics for today's episode. The first is going to be around your faith and where are you actually placing your faith? And we'll talk about that more here in just a second. But then the other is the allowing of possibility. So just opening up your own mind to what could be and allowing yourself the possibility that things really could work out, because that possibility exists just as much as the other one that doesn't work out does. And so just starting to open your focus to the possibility of all the wonderful things that could be and how everything could actually play out in your favor to be the most remarkable outcome that you could imagine. And then the last one is actually talking about emotions and feelings. So we as humans, especially I'm guessing if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably found yourself in a very similar position. We tend to try to squash feeling emotions that we deem as negative or unwanted. And we start to attempt to never feel those again. And I think I'm saying this, it sounds very dramatic, right? Like to never feel them again. But I know for myself that part of my journey for the first few years of attempting to work on my own emotional intelligence and emotional regulation and how I was feeling and the way that I was addressing the world was attempting to never feel these quote unquote negative emotions again. I wanted to feel positive about all things all the time. And when those emotions bubbled up, I was always looking for ways to not have to feel them. So I was continuing to give them power. I was continuing to give them focus. I was continuing to give them the attention that they need in order, and anything needs, positive or negative, in order to grow within my own life. Because suppressing was just being held within my own body. I actually believe this is why I've had so many problems with my back. I think I've talked about it here before, but I have always kind of struggled with my back. I rode horses for years. I fell off multiple times. I'm sure that that definitely did not help. But when I look at my own back, there's a lot of tension in my back. And I think the reason for that is because I have tried to suppress emotions, because the less that I'm trying to suppress, the more that I can feel the release in my back. Those emotions are being held within my own body and are manifesting in a way that is tightness and tension in my back and my shoulders because they have nowhere to go. I'm not allowing myself to process them, even in the times that I think that I am. Instead, I'm suppressing them and I'm not feeling them and I'm giving them more power and more attention. And I'll get more into that as the episode goes on. But I wanted to talk a little bit about faith and trust. I saw this really great little snippet of a video of Bashar. I think that's how you say it. But he is someone who channels somebody and then kind of shares out with others. And they were doing some sort of conference or seminar, and a woman stood up and she said, "Hey, what am I supposed to do? Because I have no trust. I don't trust in anybody. I don't trust in anything." And he stopped her and he said, "Actually, you do trust. You have trust in that lack of trust. You're never actually without trust." And it hit me that I found this very profound because you also never lack faith. You always have faith in something. And whenever you're starting out with like any kind of law of assumption principle or manifestation, a lot of times people say, well, you have to have faith. You have to have faith in the unseen. And I often get questions that say, well, I don't have any faith. And the answer is that you actually do have faith. You're just not placing it in the position that you want to. Your faith is in the fact that things aren't going to work out for you. Your faith is in the fact that you don't have trust in your own ability to take control over your own life. You don't have the faith and the trust in the fact that you actually are more than capable of making changes to the way that you spend your day and to the way that you're spending your time so that you can have a life that's much more aligned to the way that you want to live and the feelings that you want to have and the beliefs that you want to carry. And I recall having this type of awakening in my own journey, actually a couple of years ago, where I don't remember then what exactly happened, but I do remember having this feeling of like, no, I always have faith. I always have trust and I always have a belief. I just have to be honest enough with myself to be open to recognizing where that faith, belief, or trust is actually being placed. Am I placing it in the fact that so-and-so does not like me? Am I putting faith into the fact that my job thinks that I do a poor job and I'm never going to get promoted? Am I putting faith in the fact that when I open my bank account, it's not going to have the amount of money that I want? Or am I putting the faith in myself that I have the ability to make remarkable changes in my own life? Am I putting trust into an unseen that is more positive and aligned with the way that I want to live instead of an unseen that is doom and gloom? Because when you are constantly reviewing through your own mind the fact that things are not going to work out for you in all the ways that they can go wrong, you still have faith then in this unseen. That has not played out for you. So you are putting your faith and your trust in an unseen, something that has not actually manifest into your life, but you're placing your faith into the fact that it's going to manifest in a way that you don't want it to. You're putting your trust into the quote unquote negative ways that it could come into your life and not work out for you and keep you stuck in the same spiral that you're currently in. And I'm not sure if folks listening are having the same type of moment I did when I first realized this, but it was seriously like this eye opening aha moment of, wow, I really do have faith in something. I really do have trust in something. I just need to be better about what I'm placing my faith and my trust into. I need to make a decision about where I want to actually place that attention so that I can experience the things that I want to experience. And I've witnessed in my own life that when I actually shift that focus and shift that belief and that faith and that trust, things actually change in alignment with that. My entire perception of the world and the people around me change. And in ways that I never would have imagined. The world is reflecting back to me what I believe of myself. And I have a bit of a story with this. So I, years ago, had found myself just a little bit, I don't know, it was weird. It wasn't that I was unhappy, but I definitely was not shining the way that I felt like I do now, or the way that I even did years prior. I just felt quiet, quite meek. I did not feel overly attractive. And I found that the world was reflecting this back to me. I was not really getting the reactions from other people that was like, this is somebody who's magnetic and that I want to be around. And there were some changes that then happened within my own life that really reawakened that in myself. And I think that was part of the path to get me where I am here now, and the person that I am and the way that I feel about myself, and not just my own physical looks, but myself as like a personality and the way that I present myself. And I've noticed that the world is reflecting that back to me. I have more people who want to spend time with me. I have more people who enjoy my company and who have said, like, you're just a magnetic person. You're fun to be around. I like your personality. I like listening to you. And that is more reflective of the way that I want to feel. I really like people, right? Like I like being around people. I like talking to people. I love people watching because I just find humans so fascinating, myself included. And I think all of us have these unique, special, beautiful gifts to offer the world. And so many times they don't even see it in themselves, but I can sit back and just see these beautiful things in other people, like either the way that they laugh and their eyes crinkle, or the way that they do kind things when they think nobody is watching, the different ways that people walk, the things that they find funny or don't find funny. Like there's so many interesting things about people, and I just really love them, and I like being around them, and I like interacting with other people. And I had missed that for a while. I didn't have that as much because I was making myself smaller, because my own personal self-confidence was not very high. My self-worth was great when it came to being a mother and within my own family unit, which is phenomenal. That's still very, very important to me. And actually very top of the list is my own family unit. They are the people that really make my world go round. I absolutely adore them, and I see so much wonderful things in them as well. I just absolutely love spending time with them. I love watching them grow and change and become more of the people that they want to be in the world. And just the way that they interact with the world around them is phenomenal to watch. So I definitely love my family unit, and I felt like I had great self-worth when it came to my family unit. But outside of that, I was not able to see the magic within myself. I wasn't able to see the brilliance that I have within me. And I can say that because I see the brilliance in others. And I always wanted to be very careful with that. I didn't want to talk about my own brilliance. I didn't want to talk about the things that make me really great, because then it seemed like it was too much and I was being vain or way too confident, or, just coming across as someone that was cocky. And I realized as things changed for me and as I opened up more into who I am, that it wasn't about being cocky. Like, I don't feel like I'm a cocky person, but I do feel like I have a lot of self-confidence, and I feel good about myself and my self-worth and the way that I view myself. And if others aren't able to see that, that's fine. I actually don't pay attention to the ones who can't see it. So I'm sure there are people out there who are like, what is she doing? And I can't believe that she's doing this and this is ridiculous. And that's fine, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't place my attention with them because I now feel good about myself and the faith that I have in me and the trust that I have in me to just keep doing what I want to do and to focus on the people that are cheering me on and who are in my corner and are celebrating the wins with me. And the more that you can get to that, just the better overall that you feel, because that is what self-confidence means. That is what self-concept means, is that when you start to see yourself as this beautiful, remarkable person who has these wonderful gifts to not only offer out to the world, but to offer to themselves, you just open up a whole world around you that is better feeling, that just gives you these remarkable gifts each and every day. And it makes it so easy to have a gratitude practice because your whole life is just full of things that you're so super grateful for. At least that's what I figured out in my life. It truly all began with starting to pay attention to where I was putting my faith and my trust. I want to place my faith into an unseen that I know has a possibility to come into my life. And that's the thing too, is that there's possibility for everything. I can have the possibility for the absolute negative to happen, the thing that I do not want, and to end up living a life that I really dislike and I don't want to be in and I don't feel good about myself. Or I have the possibility to live this life that I really love and to have the money to do the things that I want to do and to be able to travel and to experience the meals that I want to experience and to see the parts of the world that I want to see and to provide for my children and for my family and to help in ways that I feel good and that I enjoy doing. To give back to my own personal community because that's something that I enjoy doing. This possibility is available to me and it's available to you. And once you start to open up your mind to the possibilities, you start to make new pathways in your own brain because your brain is designed to be efficient. Our brains are truly wired for survival. So our brains are designed to make sure that we survive, which means that it wants to be efficient with its energy. And the things that are really threatening to our brain is actually change, which is why sometimes it'll feel kind of uncomfortable when you're trying to change something because you're making a new pathway in your brain. And that takes a little bit of energy, but through repetitiveness, you can actually make that change and rewire the way that your own brain works and thinks. When you think like, oh, well, my brain is just designed to think more negative. You're absolutely right. You likely are, but you can make changes for that. There is not a person out there, no matter your age, no matter your economic status, no matter your sex or gender, you are able to make a change in the way that your mind works. You can actually change the focus that you have. You can start to see the possibilities that are available to you if you consciously make a choice to continue to make a habit to see them. And the best way to start is super small. So what is something that you could do today that one time you could open up your mind to a different possibility? So maybe if you find yourself driving to work, your mind automatically thinks, oh, my boss is going to be annoyed with me on this project, or so-and-so is not going to do what they're supposed to do, or I'm going to be so overwhelmed and so frustrated at work. Could you open up your mind in that moment to the possibility that your day might go fantastic? And just say, you know what? I actually could have a remarkable day. I could get a huge compliment from the big boss. I could get a project that I really enjoy working on. My coworker could end up showing up and working like crazy today because those possibilities are available. So could you take a moment today and just ask yourself, what's the other possibility? And I love the term of I could, like I could have this remarkable day. I could have an amazing, relaxing day. I could find an extra $1,000. I could get a compliment from my boss. I could have a promotion. I could be the first millionaire in my family. All of those possibilities are available. Those things could happen. And you can actually balance those out with the things that you also think could happen that are not great. And then that way you don't feel like you're tricking your mind. You don't feel like you're attempting to fight with yourself. You're just allowing yourself to see the other possibilities that are available to you. You're putting your faith in this unseen possibility that why is it not available? Why would this not be something that could happen in your life? I do want to take a quick pause here, real quick, just to ask that if you are enjoying this episode, I would absolutely love it that if you're listening on YouTube, to give the video a like so that I know this type of content is stuff that you want to hear. Or if you're listening on a podcast channel, that you rate and or review the podcast. And if you find it fitting and you find the episode really helpful, please definitely share this out with somebody that you think it would help them as well. Not only does it help me by getting my information out, but you could actually make a change in somebody else's life who needs to hear this right now. I do want to shift now to talking about our emotions and our feelings. So one of the things that I have been really focusing on over the past few months has been my own personal emotions and this attempt that I have to only feel quote unquote good at all times. And even though I feel like I have removed myself from the toxic positivity loop and the toxic positivity trap that often is around a law of assumption type of community, and I actually did an episode last week on avoiding toxic positivity. If that's something you struggle with, it may be an episode for you to go back and listen to that you would get benefit from. But essentially, even though I have found myself able to manage emotions and being able to feel them, I still was attempting to avoid them. So the things that I was doing was to attempt to not feel, was attempt to remove my feelings from this quote unquote negative emotion, instead of opening up the possibility that I'm here to experience emotions. And that part of my experience here, living as a human and having emotions and having physical sensations, is to actually be able to experience them and to understand them and to learn from them. Now, that does not mean that I'm going to purposely put myself into a spiral of depression so that I can feel sadness. That's not what I'm talking about. But when I have an emotion that is coming up that is maybe very heavy feeling for me, either anger or sadness or jealousy or frustration, that are usually deemed as negative emotions that I did not want to continue with. But I've been learning that I have the ability to actually lean into that emotion, understand it, give it the attention that it needs because it bubbled up for a reason. And the more that I actually do this, and the more that I realize I've created the emotion, I'm giving the meaning and the purpose to the emotion, and I'm choosing whether I'm going to continue to feel that and if it's still a threat to me or not. Now, when there's a threat to my actual survival, there's going to be emotions that come up, whether that's fear, you have adrenaline pumping, there's something that's happening that like, this is a threat to my survival. Like, let's say you almost get into a car accident, my heart rate increases like that. I definitely want to calm back down. I didn't get in the car accident. I need to let my body know that we are now safe. My survival is safe. I don't have to worry about dying right now because I avoided this car accident. But what I've also realized is that we have a lot of emotions that we continue to feel over and over. They bubble up for us again and again, and we continue to relive those. Our body then goes into a fight or flight type mode, and you start to trap these emotions in certain parts of your body if you don't figure out how to process them and learn how to actually deal with the emotion and allow yourself to feel the emotion. Because we are actually the ones that give power and meaning to any feeling that we have. There's nothing to fear there. When you're about to get into a car accident, you do have something to fear, right? Like if you get into that accident, it could hurt your survival or hurt you. That makes sense to have a fear there and to be scared of that. But what I started to realize is that I don't actually have to fear an emotion. There's nothing for me to fear in a feeling. I give it the power by fearing it. I give it the power by not wanting to actually feel it because I've decided that it is so bad that I need to have a fear of it, whether that's jealousy or anger or sadness. And this is all part of my experience. And I do want to clarify here that if you are struggling after a traumatic event, or this is something that you are being woken up in the middle of the night with these feelings, you are struggling to see the joy in your life, you feel like you have a desire to harm yourself or to harm others, to please contact a licensed therapist in your area. None of the information that I am giving or providing is coming from someone who is trained in therapy. It's just things that I have done that have helped me and understandings that I have had. I have actually found that a lot of times in the law of attraction or law of assumption community, that folks tend to be like, well, you can just do this yourself. You don't need to have a therapist. And my personal feeling is that actually seeking therapy could be the answer that you're getting from God. There is a story about a flood, and these people are trapped in their home, and they go up to the roof and they're praying like, dear God, please send us help. We need your help now. And so they go up to the roof and they're waiting, and this boat comes by, and these neighbors of theirs who have a boat are like, hey, come on, we'll save you. We'll take you out of here. And they say, no, 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 we're waiting. God's going to save us. And so then they continue to pray and the waters continue to rise. And next, a helicopter comes by, and the helicopter says, hey, come on, we'll get you out of here. And they say, no, 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 we're waiting on God. God is going to save us. We don't need your helicopter. And then they die. The flood overtakes them. They die. They get up to the pearly gates and they say, what the heck, God? Like, we were waiting on you. We had absolute faith and you never came through for us. You just left us there. And God looks at them and says, I sent a boat and a helicopter. What more do you want me to do? And I personally don't think that God would talk to you like that. But at the same time, it's very eye-opening to the fact that, let's say that you are struggling and for some reason you choose to open this podcast today and you're listening to it and you're thinking, man, I just need to understand how I can move forward with helping myself and feel better. And then you hear me say, if you are struggling like this, please contact a licensed therapist in your area. Maybe that is your sign. That is your answer to getting better and to feeling better, is by hearing someone else say, it's okay. You can go seek help. You can go allow someone else in that is trained and knowledgeable in how to help you through whatever you're going through right now. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So if you are in that position, I definitely hope that you hear me now and that you go and you seek the help that you need, because I want you to feel better. I am definitely rooting you on to live the life that you love, to feel really good in your own skin and the person that you are, and learn how to experience all these wonderful things that life has to offer. And I hope that this is the first step for you. And if you're not in that position and you're just looking for ways to improve your life on either a smaller scale or in some big areas, but some things you like and some things you don't, I think learning how to actually feel your emotions and remove the power from them is a huge first step. I've actually started reading a book recently, and once I'm done with it and I've put the process into place for me, I'll share more about it on the podcast. So it'll probably be either next week or the week after. But I want to start talking a lot more about emotions and what you're processing and how you're feeling them and the power that you're actually giving those emotions. Because in any moment, you have to remember that you're assigning the meaning to anything that happens to you. So if there is something new that presents itself in your life, you are actually taking that through your own personal life filter and perceptions and assigning a meaning to it, which means you're assigning the scary meaning to this feeling that you're having. You're assigning the fact that you can't feel this because it's negative, that you can't have this experience. And really, it's not about not having the emotions that go along with just being a person and just being on this earth and learning how to live, but you can decide where you're going to place your attention. You can decide to say, yeah, you know what? I do feel that way, but it doesn't actually have meaning for me. It is something that I have created. It is something that I have placed within my own awareness, and it is something that I am giving meaning to. So I hope that that helps. I hope that you find this beneficial as you go into your absolutely beautiful week. I hope that you find the areas that you can see the possibility for really wonderful things for you, and that you start to pay attention to where you're placing your faith and allow yourself to feel the emotions you want to feel. Because for me, the more that I opened up feeling these emotions and the more that I saw it as just an experience, I'm learning, I'm getting to experience so many different things just from living and having life experience, that it's really beautiful. Even the things that are kind of crappy and not that I want to experience, I still get to have those, and I'm still creating those for my own life. I would definitely love to hear from you, whether you have questions or comments. If you're listening on YouTube, you can definitely leave me a comment down below. And if you're listening on the podcast, feel free to shoot me an email. It is Cecilia Hendricks. Oh, actually, no, it is not. Sorry. So feel free to shoot me an email. It's unleashinghappiness at ceciliahendricks.com. I will be back next Monday, and I wish you nothing but the absolute best.